Welcome back, and no, this isn't a joke. Today we are going to be playing out the Yak-28 the correct way. We're going to play it like a fighter, like we do all the time. The Yak-28 is actually kind of fun, and yes, it's kind of gimped and it's not the best plane in the game, but it has insanely good energy. It doesn't lose any, it gains it extremely quickly. The real issue is the gun. If this thing had like 4 23s instead of one with 50 rounds on one side of the fuselage, it would be not good, but it would be kind of decent. Right now the gun is the main issue, and it comes in the terms of damage, aiming it, and just the ability to hold the trigger down at all, because the damage is also a little bit to be desired. So you are just gonna be flying around with your dick in your hand half the time, but it's a good energy fighter as long as they don't try to run away from you. When they kind of just turn out, run away from you and don't try to contest you and simply just kind of roll around your gun, they don't really try to defensive fly, they just try to stay above 900 kilometers an hour, and they just try to make sure that they make it back to their teammates, their base, to the corner of the map. It doesn't really matter. If they don't have an interest in fighting you, you're probably not gonna be killing them. If they do, however, fight you, they're mostly in for a bit of a surprise, because, well, people don't expect the bomber to outturn them. Now, it doesn't exactly outturn them, it's mostly just the massive ass engines under the wings, and the flaps are actually pretty strong. Now, you don't want to overuse them, you mostly want to use them for position, get out of their guns, and once they are out of energy, I was gonna give you a rundown on what to do then, but once they are out of energy, you have essentially won if they cannot run away from you. So let's take a look at the first dogfight of today. And we are gonna have quite a bit of them today, because, well, I'm not gonna be getting 8 kill games in this plane. I'm not Razor, it's not gonna happen. So you have to do with just small dogfights for today. And of course 2 full games, but we'll get there when we'll get there. We merge with the Shahak or whatever, and we just kind of put it into a spiral. It's a delta wing, it doesn't hold its energy at all. And I can kind of just rope him into this, and if he tries to follow, well, he dies. And in this case, he saw that he was going to die and he instantly bails out. And that's absolutely perfect, because if he hadn't bailed out, I actually wouldn't have been able to kill him. Because if I did, the J-35 would have instantly killed me. Now he is pitching up for us, and I'm not going to be using my flaps now. I'm actually just going to store all the energy in my balls. And we are going to try to, well, go straight vertical. The J-35A does not have countermeasures. It does not have a radar, and it doesn't have radar missiles, and I do have flares. So I'm able to just kind of stall myself out above him and try to turn into him. Now the issue comes from the fact that he just turns so damn tight that even though I might have a lot of energy on him, it's still gonna be kind of difficult to get guns on him. He goes straight for a little bit, he's storing that speed, and he is trying to, or banking that speed rather, and he is trying to get away from me. And this is exactly what I mean. You need to get somewhat close. He starts kind of rolling around, and this plane is just not really able to get the gun in. Barely. Try to get up over his nose. We just get out of there. If he positioned this himself properly, I would have died right there. But he didn't, and we can start turning into the same direction again. J-35A coming in. It's the second one. J-35D coming in. Kind of looking sus. But I'm just going to maintain this flat turn. I'm going to try to keep my speed somewhat high to about 0.8 Mach or whatever. It kind of depends on what they will do. And I'm just going to be trying to raid fight the ever living shit out of them. Now they are gaining on me because they are cutting me off. But I'm going a lot faster than them. And if they commit to this fight for long enough, at the end of the day I can just start going up a little bit. And we start the small climb right here. I can tell that the J-35Ds and the J-35As below me are simply not keeping up. The J-35D again cranked it real hard and he's now cutting me off again, but I'm going 1000 kilometers an hour. He's maybe going 500 to 600. He is getting close. We pitch up and it's the same thing over again. And I'm energy trapping 3 J-35s at the same time. Now yes, if they keep their energy and they kind of do the same thing as I do, then I'm gonna have trouble killing them because they will never really run out of energy. And if they never run out of energy, well, I simply can't kill them, but it's a stalemate at best, and these planes don't really have a way to really touch me. So I go up, we get them nice and slow, and I'm just gonna be pitching in. I want to use my flaps here to just kind of crank it in, get the shot, and don't give him the ability to breathe. However, I do want to be careful that I don't rip the flaps off, because if you do rip them off, this plane essentially becomes borderline useless. Now he tries to pitch in, he sees a bomber, tries to get the head on, and we dig him right out of the air. And then we run out of fuel, and on the way back we get cut off. There's a reason I'm sitting on that whole ass 1 kill per game. Now here I'm running 20 minutes of fuel, and that is a mistake. It wasn't on purpose, it just kind of happened, you know, fuel slider stuff. Be kind of rough on us today. And I didn't check it, and because you get an air spawn, well, you can't really J out again and see if you can retry it. This fight would have looked a hell of a lot different otherwise, but you know, you can't win them all. But we're gonna win this one anyway, because well, it's a Milan, and we know that the Milan is not the best plane in the game. But it's still a fighter, it's a delta wing as well, so he's gonna get his position very quickly, very easily. And I want to be kind of careful of that. Now, if I was on 7 minutes of fuel right here, this would have been super free. Unfortunately, it is not. I'm a bit of a boat now, well, more than I already was. So I'm gonna struggle a little bit with the pull-in department, and that is kind of gonna make this game, or this fight, absolutely insufferable. Now the Milan is actually sticking, the F3H is kind of sticking around, he's going way too slow, but I can't really go for him without the Milan going for me. So I break off, I go for the Milan, and the Milan just dives away. I cannot contest that, that's really no use in doing so. So I'm gonna turn around and see if I can pressure the F3H. Why? Because the Milan is just running away, he tries to get his shot in, and if he doesn't get it, he just leaves. So there's really no way for me to start chasing him. Or there's no real reason for it, because if I do so, I'm just going to be wasting my time, my energy, and my, well, 50 whole ass rounds of 23. J-29F comes in, he is kind of fast-ish, but I mean, I'm in a Yak-28. I can stall basically anyone out that I run into, as long as it's not a plane like the F-104A, for example, or the MiG-19s, but they are luckily on your team most of the time. Milan comes back in and we do the exact same thing as we have been for the entire video. We just kind of put it into a corkscrew. And look at that discrepancy of energy. It's a delta wing with not the best engine, and I can just pitch away from him. AIM-9B shot my way, don't even need to flare that. Not even as a precaution, but then I think, well, maybe someone shot a missile at me from a direction I didn't see, so I did pre-flare. Just in case there's a missile on the way a little bit later. But, you know, nothing really happens. This is 9.3. There's not really high-powered missiles at this BR bracket for the most, and at least as long as you don't run into planes like the Yak-28s or the Ajit. But, again, they are not in this lobby, so, or not in the enemy lobby at least. So we are, again, just absolutely stalling this guy out. And you can tell that I have a lot of energy here. The issue is with, well, Mirages in general, that they don't really stall out easily. And they are just able to always kind of stand on their engine. Now, if I had 7 minutes of fuel, I would have had the shot right here already. And this would have been a very easy time to kill him. Now we get a hit in. The gun does no damage. And the issue with that is that I went for the lead shot. I had to lead my gun. And I took a very aggressive approach. And if you miss it, well, you instantly have to claw back the entire advantage you just accumulated. Because this thing is just a massive boat, and if you get someone on you, you have to work your way behind them again. Now luckily we are in an energy state where this is kind of doable, and the Milan starts to figure out that it's not going to happen. Now he is super slow, he is already hit. The issue is that I don't have the best aim with this gun, and you can tell that I'm pulling fully, and I'm still not able to get the guns on. Why? Because I'm just so goddamn heavy. I should have ran 7 minutes of fuel for the 20th time in this video. We can almost get the shot, but I just don't have the lead here. And I can't really use the flaps because they are going to be ripped off. And then when I finally kind of get position, he just keeps corkscrewing. And there's really no way for me to follow that. He's too small, he's too light, and he's just going to be able to pull out of this all day long. I might rate a little bit better, or a lot better actually. But he's still going to just pull out of my nose without much issue. And I'm trying to throttle drop a little bit to stay behind him. And the second, well, I get a little bit slower, he simply runs away. Absolutely fantastic. Now, a little bit later, the Milan actually starts going into the tower section of the map. And again, we can now actually do something because he is super low. But he doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about the fight. He notices that he can't really do anything. And he just kind of starts to ground pound. Now, I don't want to lose on ticket, so I'm going to be putting the pressure on here, but I also want to be careful that I don't reenact 9/11, because, well, this thing isn't really responsive, and if I take a wrong approach, I might just find myself in Little Timmy's bedroom with my entire ass plane. Luckily, he's so busy trying to dogfight that I can just kind of reel him in. Now, we do get on the 6, and he notices me, but he's a little bit slower this time around, so I'm almost able to get the guns on, but again, I just don't have the ability to pull in. Now, he tries to pull into the same direction, And this is why I constantly tell everyone, he almost did it. He almost did the funny. But this is why I tell you, don't reverse your turn. If he just keeps turning into the same direction, well, at this point he was too slow anyway, and he would have probably died anyway. But he's going to try to do it again in a second, I believe. I'm just pulling to the left here. I'm slowly overshooting, but he's still stamping on that elevator. And because of that, he kind of just floats in front of me. Now, I'm trying to zero throttle behind him. And with this position, I get very fortunate that he has to dodge the second tower, and we get a very easy shot. Now, I do want to be careful because I'm going very slow. I don't have much lift, and we show little Timmy, our little ballsack here, right over his window. And luckily, I mean, just like usual, we make it out alive. Yeah, you expected a cut there, probably. But nah, I'd win. F3H. Now, the F3H is, well, I can't really say it any other way as goddamn laughable. The seaman demon right in front of us, and he has been doing the thing that counters me, and that is just running away. However, I am now on very low fuel. I have a lot of pull actually, because I'm only on 3 minutes, and the F3H is just absolutely dog shit. So he is trying to stall me out, which is probably the worst thing you can do. So we get some shots in, but this thing just doesn't neck G at all, especially with the flaps down. And I'm just trying to get on him, but this guy knows better, and he stops trying to stall me out, and he just kind of, well, dives away again. I still have some bombs in because I'm trying to bomb someone that has landed on the runway. So I kind of want him to use his teammate as bait so I can fly towards him, then bomb the A4E, and then put on pressure on the F3H again. Unfortunately, the F3H actually flies the other direction, and he flies perfectly straight, which is kind of nice of him. And then he does the same thing again. He goes straight vertical. Now, I'm actually going to cut throttle here because I'm going so much faster than him that I'm going to have a very easy time pulling in. So we slow down a little bit to tighten up our loop. And just like that, we get a very easy shot. And then we get 4v1, and I don't get to bomb the guy on the runway, which is pretty sad if you ask me. F100 comes in. Now we are just going to go straight vertical. F100 sees me pitching up. He is instantly out of there. Because, well, there's really no reason for him to contest that. He is not going to be winning that fight from that position. F11 comes in, however, not the Aardvark, but the event vehicle, the F11 F1. And that is kind of in the same boat as us. Now, he does have decent guns. He does actually roll a little bit better. He kind of pulls a little tighter. But he's also a plane with a decent engine, with very little pull. So we kind of have to fight him the same way that, well, we fly. So we have to fly a little bit differently, since he kind of flies like we do. It's hard to get that thing to low speed because it simply doesn't lose much, and that's mostly because it doesn't turn that tight. But I do want to be careful, because if I kind of just try to keep my speed and wear him down slowly, I'm probably going to be third-partied before anything happens. And yes, there's a lot of clips where I do get third-partied, because this plane just takes forever to get to work. Now we see the F11 pulling in front of us, and I am actually cutting throttle. I'm doing the actual opposite of what I have been doing throughout the rest of this video. And I'm noticing that the ballast of the two bombs is actually wearing me down a little bit. So we are going to be dropping them off right here. And we are now on the 6 of the F1. And I'm going to try to shoot at him. Now, kind of a reverse thing going on here from the other clips. Because now I'm the slower one. And he is the faster one. But because I have so much acceleration, I'm able to start reeling him in again. Now we do get a crit in. Now it doesn't really do much. It's, you know, it's a 23mm with only one barrel. But he is crit. And all we need to do now is finish him off and hope that we actually hit him. Unfortunately, these guns just do absolutely nothing. He then almost flat spin kills us. Luckily he doesn't. And then we dive on an F5C that has been occupied trying to go for the MiG-21. Now the MiG-21 is going to fuck off, and he is going to leave me alone with this F5C. Now this is my honest to god first game in this plane. And my aim is going to be absolutely laughable. But I want you to take a look at this fight regardless, because it kind of showcases the plane well. Because if you don't kill him right here, well, the fight actually goes a little bit longer than just getting the shot instantly. Now he notices that, well, he needs to reverse me. He starts throttle dropping. And I can't really throttle drop him in return, because if I get stuck slow with him, I just die. Miss another shot, just absolutely unfortunate. And we start to pitch in. Now he is trying to slow down so much that he's actually about to fall out of the air, which kind of makes it a little bit easier. Now the CL-13B comes in, he misses everything, still shooting after the overshot, which is kind of funny. And again, this gun The aim, the damage, getting it on target. No, that's not the same thing as aiming, because I'm talking about like the plane. And it just turns a little bit too tight. I shoot up under him. I'm just going to pitch up over him. He actually died, the CL-13, from that one shot of the F5C, which is kind of funny to me. And I'm just above his nose now, and I'm going to be throttling up and pitching straight after him. Now, I'm not going to pitch into him. I'm going to pitch behind him, because he's way too slow to really turn around. And I'm going to be able to rotate around, because I, well, have just too much energy. And yes, I'm still rocking bombs in my bomb bay. It doesn't really matter. This guy is too slow, and he is not going to be able to pull out of this at all. I'm just sitting above him, waiting for him to pitch up into me. And the second he does so, I'm not going to do a hammerhead or whatever. I'm going to turn horizontal to keep my speed a little bit and have the airspeed to pull into this shot. And we get another hit. This time it's damage of the fuselage. And you see the F-104 coming in the background. So I start to kind of feel like I'm in a hurry. Because I also have 20 seconds of fuel left and I'm on the middle of the map. So we pitch up over the F5, he is super stalled out, he is not going to do anything and he slams it into the ground. We then obviously reverse the F-104 with 20 seconds of fuel, we kill him instantly and we glide back to the airfield and then win with 8 kills. But you know, I can't record everything because my hard drive is getting kind of full. Now for the actual full games, where we actually look at some positioning, like taking your fights and just overall. I think these kind of games and these kind of planes are insanely good, like, how you call it, educational content, so to speak. Because it shows everything you can do with a shit plane. But, massive but, it's all down to the enemies making mistakes. Because if they all keep the speed, if they all play it properly, just like it's F100 right here, the second he sees that I'm catching him, he simply legs it away. A4E pitches up into us. I mean, he is not going to do anything with that plane. And I'm trying to kind of bait his F100 down by making it look like I'm going for the A4E. And it seems like it kind of worked out because he's instantly coming down for us. I'm going to pitch up after him. And I have a lot better acceleration than him. Unfortunately, he was already going a bit faster. He was above us. And he has the ability to kind of sit above there and dive down. And get some speed up. He can fly straight a lot more than me because I have to catch up to him. And you can tell that he is gonna start, well, getting away from us. Now we are gonna catch him once we level out. And now he kind of fucked himself over because he went from being faster than us to being slower because he actually took an engagement. And instead of trying to contest me, he just dives out, gets his speed up. He is faster than us. And he is more maneuverable than us, and I'm not gonna chase him down to the deck. Because if I do that, I'm gonna be useless for the rest of the match. It takes quite a bit to get back to altitude, it takes a lot of fuel, and fuel is something that is kind of limited. Now with the fuel slider, you can actually choose what you want. I would say 10 to 15 minutes. Depends a little bit on how you fly it, how many kills you get, and how well you are doing. Personally, I will probably rock 12 to 10 minutes, just so you have a little bit more than the min fuel. But not as heavy as 20. The 20 minutes is way too much. You just turned into, well, a bigger boat than you already are. And I just don't recommend it. On the other hand, you also don't have enough ammo to really survive 20 minutes. You don't have the maneuverability to survive 20 minutes. So overall, I try to get away with as little fuel as possible without it hindering me in the middle of the game. Now the F-100 and the F-104 are both engaging the Yak-28. And the Yak-28 is a plane that you need to pressure immensely to kill. So I'm hoping that they are going to try to stall him out and in the process stall themselves out so that I can actually start gunning them down. Now the F-100 is just keeping its speed. He's been doing that all game and he's going to continue to do that. So I'm looking for moments where he is vulnerable. Now yes, I still have a 1500 kilogram bomb on me. I tried to drop it right there because I thought he was going to take it. But no, he didn't. So we are going to close the bomb bay again, I think, in a second. And we are going to fly towards the middle of the map again. And yes, I know, we are like 3 to 4 minutes into this game. And I've yet to do anything really productive. Now, I did push the F-100 down, but I haven't gotten a singular point yet. So we are going to drop the 5000 bomb or the 1500 kilogram bomb on the car over there. I think it's a little bit overkill. But, you know, you have to get points some way or the other. And really, this is the same as with the Hornet. And I love those planes where you are a massive boat, but you still have the ability to dogfight people. Stall people out, run them out of energy. Those are my absolute favorite planes to fly, because it's all up to you. Now sure, if the enemy makes mistakes and they are bad, it makes it a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, if I make mistakes, I instantly die, because the enemy plane is just so much more maneuverable that if I make a misplay, they're gonna end up like 0.3 on my ass, and once that happens, well, I'm instantly dead. A4E, and he kind of turns out here, he's way too slow, and I think, well, I'm just gonna shoot at him as he pitches up, and he kind of rolls to the left, and then he crashes into the ground. It's like, bro, you really try to dodge my guns, and then, well, whatever. Happens to the best of us. Kind of annoyed me, because I'm trying to get like good footage. Just pretend that I killed him, because he dodged into the ground, because he dodged me. So I'm gonna count that as kill number 2. I'm not coping at all. You are coping. There's no coping going around here. Trust me, really. Seriously, guys, I'm not coping. F104 in front of us. I mean, I don't even have to chase that. A4E is going back to the base. And the F100 is still somewhere. Now he's coming in on the left. Is he actually coming in? Is he actually doing it? Is he actually going to take a shot at me for once? Yes, he is. So we are going to go up. I want him to pitch up after me, because that is the weakness of the F100. But instead of, yeah, fat finger there. Instead of pitching straight up and giving him the ability to kind of float into me, I'm going to go horizontally. Why do I do that? To kind of keep my speed, make the shot a lot harder. And because of that, when he actually does inevitably get the shot on us, I can just pitch up. And the F100 is going to have an awful time trying to follow this one. Now I do kind of lose him in the clouds. There is the contrail. And I want to keep track of the contrail, because I have no idea where he actually went. Now I'm using my flaps here to try and float behind him. But these clouds are really annoying, and because they are client side, it might just be that I am completely visible to him. I'm hoping I'm not. But I'm just going to be pitching to his last known position. I'm going to drop my throttle a little bit here to not go too fast and end up in front of him. And I lost him. I'm not sure if he went vertical, but there's the contrail. And this is the nice thing about contrails. You can actually find people in the clouds. There he is. Now I did have a bit of a hunch, of course, where he went, just from experience basically. But it is a guessing game, and I'm not going to pretend like I knew where he was. I did guess that he was at that kind of speed. He should be around that area. But you know, having this no visual is still going to kind of fuck you up. He, on the other hand, kind of did lose track of me. He didn't have a visual, and he did need it. And we are able to disassemble his plane. F100 down, onto the A4E. Now we do go to land. We run min fuel this time around, because there's only one enemy left. And this guy is not paying attention. He is missiling some AIs, and we do manage to get a crit in for the first shot. Now he does get the... oh, he's missiling a J6. Well, I guess it's the same thing. We have him basically stalled out. He is not doing very hot, and we are simply gonna pitch straight over him and see if we can stall him out. Now he does have damage of the right wing or the left wing. It doesn't really matter, because we are not gonna be scissoring him anyway. We merge. He loses a lot of speed because he's a delta and he is crit. We just go vertical, and we are just gonna start looping him. At this point he's too slow to really do anything, and instead of looping right at him, I'm gonna break off a little bit, get a little bit of distance, and then pitch straight after him. He's trying to dive away. He's probably gonna try to get back to the runway, and I mean at this point he kinda has to, so I'm not gonna be afterburning. I'm just gonna try to reel him in and not go overly fast. Now he's diving away, and this is gonna be kind of annoying to hit, because of the things I said earlier. If people just keep their speed and they roll around your guns, there's very little you can do. I'm actually gonna throttle drop a little bit behind him. Why? Because it's gonna make it a lot harder for him to make me overshoot. We take off his wingtip, we go straight vertical, and that is essentially the game. He's not gonna do much anymore. He's gonna try to pitch up after us for the very last shot, but he is gonna go into a bit of a spin, and that is gonna be, well, full game number 1. Let's take a look at the second one. And I understand these fights are not super flashy. They are very drawn out, very long, and that's exactly why this video, well, was originally 55 minutes long, and why, well, these are at the end, because I know that a lot of you guys are gonna be tuning out, but I do want to keep them here for the people that actually do care about it. Now we merge with an F2 or T2. And he's gonna try to run away from me, going vertically. Now, if that F100 wasn't there, I would have just sent it after him. Unfortunately, I was forced to break off for a little bit, and that's giving the T2 a lot of room here to get away from us. Now he's just gonna kind of dive out, accelerate away. But he notices that it's not gonna work out. because I will catch him. Now the issue is that I have very little fuel to do this, but he doesn't know that. I'm instead not gonna chase him, however, because I will run out, he will reverse me, and then I will be dead. The second this thing runs out of fuel, there is really nothing you can do. You are not something like a Sagittario and Ariete, you know, the J-25, where you can try to reverse someone without fuel, because you can at least kind of turn quickly. This thing, once it loses engine power, it is completely over. This thing's stock is absolutely dreadful. And yes, this goes for most jets, but you have to keep in mind that the only redeeming part of this plane are the engines. So when you lose them, you're done. When you have a plane that has a good airframe, without fuel, sometimes you will be able to at least maybe reverse them, get them slow, you know, get something done, do a funny meme or whatever. It might happen once out of 200 times it happens, but it can happen. With this thing, it will never. You're done. Reverse the F100, take his tail clean off. He is not doing very hot. Try to keep our speed up. Try to dodge the T2. I'm not going very fast, and I don't want to go too fast, because if I do, he will simply sit behind me. So we try to reverse him. F100 bails out. Flare the missile of the A4E. T2 turns around, and I'm on 30 seconds of fuel on their side of the map. So we are actually gonna dip and leave. Pointed at the runway. Pull the flaps in, please. My guy, looking at this, is giving me a fucking aneurysm. Pull those fucking flaps in. Thank you. We pulled the flaps in. We are gonna go back to the base. We are gonna be landing. And then we are gonna be taking the fight back to them. See, I'm playing it right. I'm using it as a bomber. We are gonna drop some bombs on the AA units and the SPAA, the artillery, and all the good stuff. We have a T2 and an A4E directly above us. And well, at least we got our nice little howitzer kills. Incredible. This is the exciting gameplay that you want when you want me to review a bomber, right? But the bombing is done, so I can now play it, because I have to actually defend myself, right? T2 coming in, going Mac Jesus, kind of scary. I want to turn preemptively. Luckily, I have a J-32B. It's a supermodel hunter, and he engages the T2. And because of that, the T2 goes vertical, and he kind of just pulls directly in front of me. Now, I'm about to start sniffing his ass, but he's going a little bit too quick, because he was going so damn fast into that merge. But I want you to see how fast he's going after all of that, because I am now catching him. T2 is not doing very hot. He is going way too slow. A4E dies in the background. And we are now riding this guy's ass. We are gonna try to make sure that we do not overshoot. But I also need to make sure that I don't go too slow, so that he can simply run away. Luckily we have the J-32B directly next to us, so we can finish up this little 2v2 with 1 kill each. And that's all I have for you today. Happy April Fools, happy Easter, because I forgot to do so yesterday. And that's all I have for you today. See ya in the next one.